Hi, good afternoon. Thanks so much for joining us. It is just now 3 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Sally Whaley. I am the project manager for the EDA VISTA program. We also have on the line Angela Bonner, who is our VISTA leader. And we are going to be walking through a quick presentation, just a little bit more about our program. Really appreciate y'all jumping on and being interested and excited to share a little bit more about what we're doing with the EDA VISTA program. Throughout, please go ahead and put any questions you have in the chat. We'll see if we have time at the end to open it up for audio questions. But you'll be on mute throughout. But please just raise your hand or put something through the chat if you have a question. Great. So we're going to cover a few different things today, talking a little bit about the history of the program, what types of projects are typically worked on within the EDA VISTA program, how it's structured, what's going on with it this year, some of the benefits of the AmeriCorps program in general, what our timeline is, and how to apply. So the EDA, the Economic Development Administration, is an agency under the Department of Commerce. Our mission is to lead the federal economic development agenda through innovation and competitiveness and preparing American regions for growth and success throughout the worldwide economy. So what we do here is we work with communities to boost their capabilities to grow business in their area, to attract new businesses, and generally to raise the standard of living across the United States. We're the only federal agency with economic development as its exclusive mission. And AmeriCorps VISTA, for folks who may be familiar or maybe not familiar with AmeriCorps VISTA, has a very similar focus in terms of what they hope to achieve. So they look at anti-poverty, their community empowerment, capacity building, and sustainable solutions to bring down and eventually eradicate poverty in the United States. So the partnership between the Economic Development Administration and AmeriCorps VISTA go hand in hand in terms of trying to boost capabilities and prosperity in communities throughout America. AmeriCorps VISTA is a program under the Corporation for National Community Service, which covers things like just AmeriCorps, service year, and other programs that have a similar mission. VISTA, in particular, works on capacity building, so it's a 12-month program where people volunteer full-time and work to build out lasting solutions in communities. So VISTAs aren't doing direct service work, so they're not engaging in things that an organization would do with or without them. VISTAs are working specifically on projects that are going to boost that organization or that community's capacity for future years. So it's a really neat program, partners really well with what the Economic Development Administration does in terms of building capacity and really preparing communities and organizations across America for growth and enhanced prosperity. So our third partner on the EDA VISTA program are our economic development districts. So these are organizations that cover several counties throughout the United States. So on the map, you can see all of the economic development districts that we have designated throughout the United States, and you'll see that they cover large county areas. And what they are charged to do is to come up with an economic development strategic plan for their area. They are our partner in this program in that they're the ones who host the VISTA positions. So I sit in Austin, which covers our 5-state regional area. Our other project manager sits in Denver, which covers our 10-state regional area, but the VISTAs are actually going to sit in these local economic development districts, very hands-on, community-facing positions, working with these economic development districts that have that local knowledge and that regionally driven economic planning process. So those are the three folks who are involved in the EDA VISTA Corps program. As I mentioned, all the goals of all three organizations align in helping economically distressed communities. move forward with their economic needs and provide resources to meet those needs, which would be the VISTA that comes in and has that that capacity to take on and to tackle a new project and to move that organization and initiative forward. So the EDA VISTA program history we started in 2016 was just 4 VISTAs in Texas. It's continued to grow over the last 4 years through 2020, where we're going to be having 15 VISTAs here in the Austin area and 10 VISTAs in the Denver regional area, along with 2 VISTA leaders who help manage the program. So it's been a really fun project to work on in terms of looking at that increased capacity as we continue to add VISTAs. It's also good for our VISTA cohort to have additional training opportunities and additional peers to share with and to learn from. EDA VISTA projects, VISTAs with our project are working on pressing need initiatives for their assigned organization, those economic development districts, typically to build capacity and represent a unique task that the host otherwise wouldn't have the resources to complete. So as I mentioned, the projects that our VISTAs work on aren't things that would typically be done without that VISTA being there. This is something that VISTA is coming in and really taking leadership of and pushing forward. So some of our past projects, for example, include surveying, assessment, and growth strategies for regional business development. So again, looking at what those regional needs are and doing a lot of legwork on the analysis and figuring out exactly what would work best, what exists in that community, how are we going to continue to grow economic capacity there, and if it's, looking at one industry versus another and analyzing that and really putting forth a strategy. Other things include feasibility for localized development projects. So one of our first VISTAs was trying to improve transportation for their 4-county area, and in order to facilitate ease of access for work for all demographics of the society. And so they were doing the feasibility study of what that transportation program would look like. A big thing that all of our VISTAs do is education and community engagement, so helping communities understand what economic development is, who is doing it for them in their area, and how they can get involved. Localize their value add to the comprehensive economic development strategy. So that's that big strategy that I was saying that EDs all work on for their region. So the VISTAs often will come in and there's this big strategy in the works, but the VISTA will come in and be able to focus on one segment of it that otherwise wouldn't have gotten attention, and really spearhead an effort under that plan. Other specific focuses have included disaster recovery and mitigation. So that's a big thing for economic development. Well, for all sectors of our society now, but especially in economic development. A tornado or a flood rolls through, and it has enormous impacts on the prosperity and the potential for economic development in a community. So, how do we look at strategizing for the recovery for that, for the mitigation of those events? Industry expansion, brownfield, so looking at, areas in your community where the land isn't usable because it used to be an oil refinery or had some big contaminant spill. So how do you reuse those things? We have a couple of folks working on that. Or communication strategy is another good example for, again, continuing to help that organization, economic development organization, reach out and explain what they're doing and take at further engagement. So the program structure, Angela, do you want to cover this on how the different organizations work together with the VISTA?
Sure. Now, to just give you general oversight of our program, basically day-to-day supervision is held by the site supervisor. Again, as Sally explained, you have the economic development districts that VISTA members will be housed in. In that, the supervisor will instruct simple tasks as well as the complex tasks of community engagements, possibly helping with the SEDS, possibly helping with surveying information. They will also provide support such as assisting, if need be, with housing and general day-to-day support you would need in a typical business role. Far as the EDA provides training and continuous technical assistance to our VISTA members, meaning that each month we do host a webinar, some topics covering items related or topics related to the EDA, such as a comprehensive economic development strategy plan. That is a plan where most, if not all, economic development districts complete to give an idea of community needs and improvements. Far as VISTA, that is my role as a VISTA leader. I provide the more so hands-on approach or hands-on support, meaning if let's say that you are experiencing some type of difficulty in terms of the position or just personal, I'll be the one to speak with you. Also, if there's this need of there's assistance needed in terms of pay, things of that nature, that is the role of the VISTA leader.
Great. And then that final piece is the Corporation for National Community Service, VISTA. So they're technically the ones that are quote unquote employing you as a VISTA member, and they're going to provide that that monthly or that stipend, and they provide any kind of like really high level HR or benefits and resources. So typically the folks you're going to be interacting with, of course, are the supervisors and the office staff at the Economic Development District organization that the position is located with. EDA provides a little higher level training and value add in terms of technical assistance, and then VISTA are the folks who are providing, you know, all the support for the program in terms of financial and other sorts of benefits. So that's kind of the order in which VISTA members typically interact with the three participants in this program. Okay. So looking at what our program is for this upcoming year in 2020. So as I mentioned, the program has expanded out of Texas and covers several states now. And you can see all of those represented here. So we're kind of in like the central southern, a little bit in the Midwest part of the United States, but certainly have some good geographic coverage in terms of where we have this situated now. We'll distribute this presentation, but here are all of our positions. I'll show you a couple places that you can find all of these. So all of these are linked directly to the project description. And you can start to see kind of a little bit through the titles, just the differences in what people are working on. So both the Austin and the Denver region. Again, it's a unified EDA project, but the positions in the states covered differ between the regional office that they're managed out of. So a lot of the trainings and things we do will be together, but depending on what state you're applying to or serving in, you'll be kind of reporting directly to a different district office. So AmeriCorps benefits for VISTAs. During service, there are several things, and these are all outlined very specifically on the AmeriCorps VISTA website. But just a brief preview. The monthly living stipend is just shy of $1,000. Part of the service mentality of the VISTA program is that VISTAs are living at the same socioeconomic level of the people that they're serving. So it's not a lot of money. A couple other benefits in addition to that are relocation expenses. So if you're moving somewhere over 50 miles to serve in your new site, some of those will be covered for you. Child care, if you qualify based on your total income levels, you can qualify for a child care stipend. If you have kids that need that attention while you are completing your service. Professional development training is something that both VISTA and EDA provides, as well as the local organization of service, and then some liability insurance. So some health benefits, some insurance coverage. And then post-service, Angela, do you want to talk a little bit about post-service benefits?
Sure. Post-service benefits includes the end-of-service stipend. Now, there are two options when it comes to your end-of-service stipend. You can either pick a cash option, which will be $1,800 at the end of your service, or you can pick an educational award, which dollar amount is $6,095. Just to explain the difference, the cash stipend, again, is the cash stipend. So you will actually receive that in two sums, and that will actually be the next to the last living amount or living allowance that you receive. And once you complete the program, you actually receive the other half. Now, the education award acts a little differently, as you receive that amount at the end of your term. Now, the educational award can be used for current tuition. If you are in school, I don't think there's an accreditation requirement, but if you're in any type of school, I believe, and don't quote me on that, but if you're in any school, you can use this stipend to be able to pay for current educational needs. If, like you said, let's say you have student loans, you can use that as well. In addition to that, at the close of service, you can also receive an allowance to pay on your student loan interest. Let's say that you started the program with student loan interest or student loans, and you accrue interest during that time. CNCS can possibly pay those student interest or pay it down to where it was when you originally started the program. The next item for after service benefits is the non-competitive eligibility status. Basically, that gives our members a preference in the federal hiring process. I'm not sure if you're all familiar with the veteran preference. In that way to streamline the process through the federal application process. Now, please note that this does not guarantee a hire. It just moves you up in the process of federal hiring. Sally?
Thanks. Yeah, that's a very valuable benefit. If anybody's ever tried to go through the federal hiring process, it's very complicated. There's a lot of hurdles, and this is a really cool way to kind of get around some of the red tape that is associated with federal hiring if you find a position that you're qualified for. Going back to the program, so for 2020, what our timeline looks like is we started recruitment back in September, so we've been going for a little while. All applications that we're getting in are being evaluated on a rolling basis. So a couple positions have already been filled. We're still looking for the majority, though, right now, and hoping to fill those before mid-December. So once folks are selected, we get them all the way through the selection process, which typically involves, after you submit your application, the local organization evaluates you. We'll call you in for an interview, and then there's kind of some paperwork back and forth with CNCS VISTA, and you're enrolled for the start of service on January 21st. So that's when all of our VISTAs are starting in this upcoming term. They'll start directly with their local organization of service in something called a virtual member orientation. So that's kind of VISTA's virtual onboarding that happens the first day that you start, and you'll also be in your office and beginning onboarding there. We will bring all of our VISTAs into our regional offices, either to Denver or to Austin in March or April for our own onboarding, and we have that tentative right now just to try and understand where everybody's coming from and kind of what dates work best. That's our starting. So looking at how to apply, a couple of things. I'll get this kicked off and then kick it over to Angela, who has actually been through this process and can talk about it a little bit more. But the first thing that you want to do is go to myamericorps.gov to create a profile account. So essentially, in order to apply to any VISTA position, you have to have an account that has a lot of information about your work history and background and things like that. And so you would go, click on this link. I'll show you kind of what it looks like. And if you have a login, great. If you don't, then you click down here to create a new account. And once you have your account up and running, it looks like this. And Angela, do you want to talk a little bit about the difference in like what your profile is in your applications?
Sure. Now, as Sally mentioned, if you do not have an account, you would want to select new account at the bottom. It will take you through building a profile, and shortly after that will actually take you to this process, applications, so you can build an application. Now, if you already have an account, you would just simply log in and update your application if you have not. But this process, in completing an application, it asks several questions. It asks the general questions in terms of your location, jobs, things of that nature. And it also asks several different questions, such as your motivational statement. That is just you giving the reason why you would like to be a part of the AmeriCorps program, as well as a volunteer experience statement, just for you to explain the level of volunteer you have participated in throughout the course of your professional or throughout your life. Also, there is a reference section where you will add references to vouch for you, basically, in terms of the position, to say that you are a good fit. So this is your typical application, in a sense, that you will, as I mentioned, provide general information, work experience, and the other piece is a essay type of piece, the motivational statement, as well as volunteer. What you want to do, I don't know if you all have used AmeriCorps or the portal before, but it does have some kinks. So you definitely want to make sure every time you go into your application that you are saving your information, so you don't get kicked out and you're not able to resume where you left. So once you have completed your application, what you want to actually do is go back to the EDA website. And Sally just moved here for our presentation. You want to click the link here. And what that link takes you to our EDA VISTA landing page, and there you will find a list of all of our positions available. Once you find the desired position, what you want to do is just click the link. It's going to redirect you to the My AmeriCorps search engine or search page. And once you make it there, it gives you an overview of the position. Once you have made it here, you just want to click Apply Now at the bottom. And
unfortunately, this isn't going to work with me because I'm not logged into the system right now. But if you were logged in, it would, I think, bring you straight to your profile where you could submit your application. Is that right, Angela?
Correct. And thank you for bringing that up, Sally. Now, after you have logged in and you have completed your application, do not log out. Open another window to go to the EDA website, select your position that you're interested in, and then go into it and select Apply Now. Once you do that, it should populate you to towards the end of the application process, where you certify that all the information you've listed is correct. It's usually just a couple of dials that you will check, and that's pretty much it. So once you go, as I mentioned, once you complete your application, be sure not to log out. Just simply open another window, a browser window, and select your position that you're interested in and select Apply Now. It should move you forward towards the end of the application process.
Great. Yeah, and I think once you have that profile created and have that application created, you can submit it to multiple positions. And that's, so once you have that set up, you're good to apply to multiple positions if you so desire. Great. So a couple of program resources. Again, this is the site we were just on, the VISTA Core site for EDA, which outlines kind of what our programs look like, and then has all the links to the different applications that we have open. AmeriCorps VISTA, which just gives you some more background and information on AmeriCorps, and then the VISTA benefits. So this again is another really good resource to elaborate on the different benefits that we had shared earlier in terms of during and after service. So my contact is listed here for the Austin Regional Office and all of our positions. Stacey Webb is our manager for the Denver office. And then we also have Angela on the line, who is a good resource as well. So we'll take any questions. I don't know if we've had any come in via chat, but please feel free to submit some in there. So, okay, yeah, a couple good questions coming in. You know, kind of about the standing of where what you would be considered as a VISTA. So would I be considered an intern or an employee? So great question. This is kind of something that's different. You're neither an employee, but neither are VISTAs. Should VISTAs be considered interns? You should be leading an initiative. Of course, for somebody new to the organization, you're going to be going through kind of an uphill on getting everything down, understanding the community, understanding what the different roles are, and who you'll be assisting, who you'll be helping, what programs you'll be working on. So often there's a lot of research and kind of basic work at the beginning to try and get you up to speed on the organization. But unlike an intern, you're going to be responsible for a project and moving it forward. But you won't be considered a full employee because you won't be employed by that organization. You will be employed by AmeriCorps VISTA. So it's kind of something that's in between, and something that folks in our program continue to navigate with their direct supervisors. Let's see. Will the program cover my relocation expenses? Angela, I know that you received some relocation benefits. Do you want to talk a little bit about that process?
Sure. Now, as Sally mentioned, if you are moving more than 50 miles to your site location, you will receive what they call a settling fee. And what that is basically you receive $750 to settle at your new location. Now, this is a one-time payment, and that usually is received with your first living allowance. Anything below 50 miles, I believe you receive 54% reimbursement per mile.
Great. Okay, great. Thank you. One other question that came in from Robin: can a position start earlier than January? So we try and start all of our positions at the same time in order to have folks on the same track so that their training's on the same page, so that that we have one cohesive class. It is possible sometimes with the individual economic development districts for them to bring you in a little earlier. You won't technically start as a VISTA until January, and you will be expected to finish out the full 12-month term. But we have had instances of, when it works out for both the organization and for the starting VISTA to come on a little earlier. Often the organization will match that daily per diem that would otherwise be paid out by VISTA, but that's something that's strictly arranged between the incoming VISTA and the organization. So that's not something that's facilitated through VISTA or EDA, because we only have the capacity to start one class per year. So great, thanks very much. Okay, and let's see. Another good question about housing. How do you find housing? Is housing provided? So there are, housing is not something that's provided by the VISTA program. VISTAs do qualify for Section 8 housing based on their living stipend. And so often folks will go into low-income housing when it's available in the area that they're moving into. Sometimes, the organizations that you're working with can be really helpful in helping if you're relocating to find good neighborhoods or areas that have accessible housing to where they're going to be working, things like that. But unfortunately, housing is not something that's provided by the VISTA program. And then one more, Angela, do you want to talk a little bit about the living allowance? Is the living allowance paid monthly, weekly, or biweekly? So how do you receive that payment?
Sure. The living allowance, the living allowance is received bi-weekly. So I believe 2 weeks after you start service, that is when you start to accrue your living allowance. Living allowance are paid every Thursday. And again, it's biweekly, so you can expect 26 living allowance checks for the year.
Okay, great. I don't see any other questions coming in. Hopefully that was really good information. Hopefully we got around to, okay, here's one more. Does it affect unemployment benefits if you have them at the time that you start? So I think what that question is asking is, will it affect unemployment benefits if you have them? So if you have unemployment benefits when you're starting, I don't actually know the answer to that question. I think that this is going to be considered employment. So I don't think that you'd be eligible to claim unemployment while serving as a VISTA. But I don't know the answer to that question. Angela, have you come across that issue before?
I believe in some cases, and I believe this per state, there is a difference in pay. But for the state of Texas, I am not 100% sure. What I would advise to do is visit VISTA campus to research that question more in depth. But generally, I believe for the state of Texas, at least, they do not allow you to receive both the stipend, or excuse me, the living allowance and unemployment.
Okay, that would be my guess as well. Is that, especially since this is a position with the federal government, I think it probably would be difficult to get around claiming unemployment and being involved in the VISTA program. But again, yeah, VISTA campus, or just the VISTA, if you search VISTA campus or the AmeriCorps VISTA site, it'll have a lot of information on questions like that. Okay. Okay, any final questions coming into the chat? We appreciate you being here and your interest in the program. You have our contact info. Angela, can we send out the presentation to attendees after the fact?
Sure.
Okay, great. So we'll do that, and so you'll have all this information, all the links, and feel free to reach out in case you have any questions moving forward. But thanks for your interest, and we hope to talk with you all soon.